Hey everybody, my name is Dylan Toole, and today with this video I'm going to be teaching you how you can walk into a casino, sit down at a blackjack table, play with confidence, and walk away with more money than you started with. Because I mean, who doesn't want to walk away with more money than you started with? It's like taking candy from a baby. But before I teach you how to do all that, I'm going to have to tell you a little bit of history of blackjack, the basics of it, a thing called basic strategy, different betting strategies to use when sitting at the table, and I'll also go a little bit into counting cards. Now enough of all that, time to go into the history of blackjack. Blackjack came into America in around the 19th century. It started off really big behind a racetrack in Indiana. And that's kind of where it got its name, blackjack. It used to be called 21, but they offered an incentive that when you got a 21, an ace and a 10 card, but that 10 card consisted of a blackjack, meaning a jack of clubs or a jack of spades, you got paid extra. And the name blackjack just kind of stuck around and everybody started using it. Enough of that, time to go into like the importance. Like you're sitting at a table, what do you do? So first the dealer is going to deal you out 2 cards, and what you do depends on what those 2 cards are. First you have to know your total. To find the total of cards, to find your total number, you add up your 2 cards. So if you're dealt a 10 and a 3, you have a 13. Where when you're dealt a king and a queen, you have a 20. I'll go more into how this equals 20 in a little bit. To find the value, you add up the cards you have, and the cards are pretty simple. So like a 2 equals a 2, a 3 equals a 3, a 4 equals a 4, and so on until we get later into the 9, 10. Once we get to the jack, queen, and king, each of these cards is worth 10 as well. That means that there are 4 different cards of every suit that are worth 10. Then there's also the ace. The ace is worth 1 or 11, depending on which hand is stronger. Alright, so that's pretty much the basics. Now we go into a program called Basic Strategy. Basic Strategy is a little card, it looks just like a playing card, and it tells you what move to do for every scenario. And the best thing about this is you can find it at almost any casino gift shop, and you can use it at the table. So you don't need to memorize it, or don't forget, like, oh, what do I do? It comes right to you, it's right in front of you, like, oh, this is what I have, this is what the dealer has, this is what I do. It's plain and simple. The basic strategy card tells you when to double down, when to split, when to stand, and when to hit. Now what all these mean is when you hit, that means you're going to take an additional card. You don't know what that card's going to be, but you hope it makes your hand stronger. That's the whole purpose of taking a hit. So in the scenario I mentioned earlier with a 10 and a 3 having 13, we're going to want to take one more card since we're 8 points away from 21. That's pretty far, so we're going to want to hit. While when I mentioned earlier getting the king and the queen for 20, we're just going to want to stand. We don't want to take a card because we're going to bust if we get anything but an ace. Now when talking about splitting, that means you have 2 cards that are the same. In this scenario, we have 2 9s. We have the 9 of diamonds and the 9 of clubs. Now together this is 18 in a strong hand, but we can separate these and have 2 different hands, getting another card on each, and the potential of having 2 19s for even stronger. It all depends on the dealer's up card. What you do to split is you put the same amount as your original bet next to yours, and then you hold up your 2 fingers, kind of making a scissors. That means you're going to split. I also mentioned something called doubling down. This is one of my favorite things to do when playing at the table. You double down when you have a 9, 10, 11, and sometimes other card situations means you can double down. But for this, we're going to use a 5 and a 6, which equals 11. When you double down, it does as you say, you double your bet. So if you're betting $10, you put 10 more dollars out there, but you only get 1 card, hoping that with this 11, we can get a 10 to equal 21, meaning we'll always win when we get 21. Basic strategy is something you always want to follow, and when you follow it, you can lower the house edge, which means the average amount of time that the casino is going to win over you, to 1% or lower. That's awesome. That's almost like a coin flip, 50-50. But we can push that 1% even further to make it 50-50 using betting strategy. Betting strategy means fluctuating your bets depending on if you're winning or losing. If you're winning, you're obviously going to want to bet more, but when you're losing, you're going to want to bet less to minimize your losses. There's a couple different kinds of betting strategies. I'm going to go over 3 of them. The first one is flat betting. Flat betting is when you keep the same amount. This means that when you're betting $5 and winning, you're only going to win $5. And if you keep betting $5 when you're losing, you're going to keep constantly losing $5. You're pretty much just giving the casino your money because, you're not really going to get anywhere. It's like you win one, you lose one, you're even. And with that 1% means you're still going to lose. The next betting strategy is called bet as you lose. It's kind of what the strategy means. If you start off with $5 and you lose, you add 2 times your original bet to your first bet, meaning you're going to start betting $15. And then you just keep doing that, 15 times 2, 30 times 2, 60 times 2, and you just keep going. Most people eventually run out of money because you will need a lot of money if you try this strategy. And then you're either finally going to win with only a profit of $5 or give up. Most people give up and just cut their losses. Because you can go streaks of 20 with losing. You just keep losing and losing and losing. And most people, when they use this strategy, they end up losing a lot of money. The third one I'm going to talk about is progressive betting. This one is my favorite and one that I use often. This is when you keep raising your bet when you're winning, and once you lose, you go back to your minimal bet and stay there. So when I start with $10 and I win, I take $5 from my winnings and keep it with me, and then take the other 5 and put that on top of my original bet. So now I have $5 in front of me and I'm betting $15. When I win, I take $5 from that 15 and put it on my original bet, now betting 20, and then I take 10 back from me. I now have a $5 profit covering my $10 original bet, and I'm now betting $20 on the casino's own money. This is one that I, as well as a lot of other professionals, use, such as Barney Vincent from Players Network. I watched him a lot. He's very good, and that's kind of where I got that strategy. And that's kind of all there is to betting strategies. Now, if you use betting strategy and basic strategy correctly, you can get the house edged 50-50 to a coin flip. You're going to win 50% and lose 50%. But for those people that want to push it even further than that, they can count cards. Now, many people believe that counting cards is illegal. That's actually not true. Counting cards is legal. You can do it. It's just frowned upon by all the casinos. The reason it's frowned upon, if used correctly, you can win a lot of money. This strategy came up from a group of students over at MIT, super smart guys, who came together and said, hey, let's try and beat the casino. And they did. They cleaned up the casino for millions of dollars until the casinos finally caught on and said, hey, you guys can't play here anymore. That just shows you how powerful counting cards can be. They came up with the high-low system. The high-low system means that when you get a small card, a 2 through a 6, you add -1 to your running count. You keep a running count throughout the whole deck. You only start over once a new deck begins. So a 2 through 6 is a -1. A 7 through 9 is a 0. These cards are neutral. That you don't add, you don't subtract. These cards don't really mean anything, but you want to make sure that you go over them as 0 and don't add or subtract. The final ones, you subtract 1 from your running count. That's when you get a 10, Jack, Queen, King, or Ace. You subtract 1 whenever you see these cards, because that means that there's less big cards in the deck. You want to bet more when there's more bigger cards in the deck. That's kind of what it is. I really don't push for people to count cards, because if you make a mistake, say you think you have a high number but it's actually a low number and you bet a lot of money, you can lose a lot of money like that. That's why it's easy just to stick with the 50-50 push and use the basic strategy and basic betting strategy. So now it's that time where I sum everything up for you guys. As I mentioned earlier, Blackjack is a fun, enjoyable, entertaining, and can be profitable game when played correctly. You need to remember to always use basic strategy when you play. Either use basic strategy the whole time or don't use it at all. You can mess with the flow of the cards and confuse other people sitting at the table. Always use basic betting strategy. You want to keep betting so you're going to win. If you want to just play and have a fun time with your friends, sure, go ahead and flat bet. Don't bet as you lose, but sometimes use progressive betting if you really want to walk away with more money. And finally, count cards if you really want to be a pro, but make sure you put in full dedication. Don't think like, hey, I'm a pro, I can count cards. You're going to end up losing. You can end up losing a lot of money, and then it just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth for blackjack, and I don't want that at all. Remember to always play safe. You know, play with your friends if you want to. It's easier when you're with a group of guys or girls. You know, just get together. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys really enjoyed. Maybe I'll see you at a blackjack table. Thanks.